20 laps the distance for the Classic Auto Racing Series here this evening at Orlando Speed World. George Hall Jr. has been with the series since day one. He's on the pole position. Frank Conrad, the former dirt track racer, on the outside in a pair of the sedan-bodied cars. As the green is out, we're underway. Conrad grabs the early advantage in the 11 machine. Ooh, watch him. They're slipping and a slide, and 3 wide down the back. Straight away they go. Hammerbeck on the inside. Erie's right in the middle. Bud Spencer getting the odd man out situation there in the 7. He's up near the wall out of turn 4, but he hangs on to it. Up front, Frank Conrad leads the way. They're slipping and a sliding. They're all over the place down the back straightaway. Eddie Thornton moves up into the 3rd spot around the 32 car, George Hall Jr. Dan Hammerbeck's going to follow him through in the number 2 car. Hall will settle into that 5th spot with a 32. Up front, Jim Raymond closing the distance down between himself and Frank Conrad. Conrad with the lead in the 11 car. Jim Raymond putting the pressure on. Eddie Thornton in the 4 machine moves up into 3rd. Dan Hammerbeck is on the charge in the 2. He is closing in quickly. Here is Raymond down to the inside, looking down into turn 1, but Conrad holds on. Took it in there awful hard, but he was able to hold that inside line. Raymond will challenge again. They're going to have to watch out here as the 4 and the 2 car are closing in. As Wayne Ashton takes the 78 car off the track, he'll be the first one out of the event. And Mo Davenport also pulling off in the 27 car. The 2 cars dropping off into the infield as we've got a 4-car battle up front right now. Frank Conrad in the teal Tornado leading the way. Dan Hammerbeck trying to sneak in underneath here. We've got a pass also for 5th. Ed Yates getting around George Hall Jr. Picks up the 5th position in the 74, and he'll try to close it now as it's bumper tag through 3 and 4 this time. Raymond takes a look to the high side this time, won't try to make that pass. Eddie Thornton and Dan Hammerbeck right behind him, and Ed Yates is closing in a hurry in the 74. Dan Hammerbeck's tired of waiting. He looks to the outside. Now Thornton tries the inside, shoves his way past the 5-car Raymond. He'll take over 2nd spot, bring Hammerbeck right with him. Here's Yates. He's right in behind him now in the 74. 5-car battle up front now. Eddie Thornton and Dan Hammerbeck now take up the charge, trying to get around the 11 car Frank Conrad, doing all he can to hang on. Here's Raymond down to the inside of Hammerbeck again as they fight it out for 3rd. Thornton is going to try the outside lane. Can he make it? We'll have 10 laps completed this time, so we'll be at the halfway mark. Halfway as they work their way off the corner. Here is the 4-car of Eddie Thornton. He's got room on the outside now. Can he make it stick? Here comes Hammerbeck down here in the 2-car making the battle of it. Raymond and Yates right in behind, side by side for the lead. Thornton a little high off the corner. That's going to give a chance for Frank Conrad to lead at least one more lap. Hammerbeck down on the inside groove. He's looking for some racing room as they work their way down. Al Hagan with a problem in the 6-car. Looks like a right front corner's broken on that one. He's slow, but should be able to make it down into the infield. Oh, it is close as they work their way down into turn 1 again. Thornton trying to find a way around. Lap car George Hall III is not that far away from him here. Still side by side for the lead. Thornton doing all he can to hang on up there. Hammerbeck, he wants to make it 3 wide if he can. Conrad hanging low. Here is the 2-car down to the inside, makes the pass for the lead. Dan Hammerbeck takes over the top spot in the 2-car. Frank Conrad slides back to 3rd. Eddie Thornton slipping around, and now we got Simon Spagnuolo looping around in turn number 4. Kicks a bunch of dirt up on the racetrack. It may bring out a caution. No, it will not. Dan Hammerbeck's going to have to work through this dirt and dust down through the corner. Watch them here as they come off of 4. Everybody going to make it through. A couple of cars bumping and banging at the back of the field, but everything appears to be all right as Spagnuolo back underway. But now caution is out. Caution is out. And it looks like it's going to be for track conditions here. Simon got into the dirt down there in turns 1 and 2 also. All right, we got a bumper down here on the racetrack. That is the reason. He ended up down there in the infield. Somebody lost a bumper. Man, oh man, how about that fight up front? And how about that pass for the lead by Dan Hammerbeck down on the inside of the racetrack? You could see him planning that move. He was just waiting for the 11 and 4 to get a little loose up high off the corner, and he just drove right underneath him. All right, got a little break in the action right now, so it's time for a quick break, and we'll be back with more from the South 40 Motorsports Classic Auto Racing Series. The South 40 Classic Auto Racing Series at Orlando Speed World is sponsored by the law offices of Arthur W. Neergarth, Jr., a board-certified civil trial lawyer specializing in personal injury and wrongful death. Located in Melbourne at 2285 West O'Galley Boulevard, call 321-255-7747 in Brevard County or toll-free 877-255-7747. 15 laps are completed. 15 laps down in this one. Dan Hammerbeck looking for his second career win in the South 40 Motorsports Classic Auto Racing Series. Well, if he pulls this one off, I tell you what, they'll be talking about that pass for a long time to come. Frank Conrad will restart from the second spot. Now, again, we go back to the last completed lap. That could jumble things up here just a little bit. Danny Shearer's down in the infield in the 77 with a flat left rear tire. So a tough break for Danny. He'd been running right up there in the top 10, but he heads pit side, and we get ready to go green with 5 laps to go. 5 to go. Hammerbeck the leader in the 2, then the 11 car at Conrad, the 5 of Raymond running 3rd. Eddie Thornton in the 4 runs 4th. Eddie Yates of the 74 runs 5th. Then it's the 7 of Bud Spencer, the 4X of Rodney Erie, the 32 of George Hall Jr., and the 3 of Michael Williams. Bud Noons in the 54 as we get set to go back to green. Green is out. We're underway. Eddie Thornton down there trying to pass everybody in the infield. Michael Williams working up to the high side in the 3 car. Remember, this is the first time he's ever driven a classic racing machine, and he's looking pretty good out there. Up front, Dan Hammerbeck trying to make a runaway of this thing now. Jim Raymond all over Frank Conrad for the second spot. Boy, and Raymond really putting the bumper to him over in 1 and 2. Eddie Thornton sits back there in 4th. Ed Yates of the 74, he looks like he has a faster car, but boy, there's just no room for him right now. Hammerbeck continues to set the pace here. He's pulling away from the field. 2 laps to go as they get ready to come by this time. 2 laps remaining. Dan Hammerbeck, the big lead. Jim Raymond puts the bumper again to the 11 car Conrad. Conrad slides a little high in the corner. Raymond's going to look down to the inside. They're going to try to fight it out here for a second. Conrad still hanging on to the spot as the white flag comes out. 1 lap to go. Conrad a little loose off the corner. Raymond's going to try the outside. No, he dives back down to the inside this time. Here's Eddie Thornton down to the inside, fighting it out down the back straightaway, takes the spot away from Raymond. They'll come to the checkered flag. Dan Hammerbeck will take the win. Frank Conrad will hang on for second. So that's going to conclude tonight's feature with the South 40 Motorsports Classic Auto Racing Series. Dan Hammerbeck takes the big win here tonight at Orlando Speed World. And before we leave you this evening, we want to go down pit side, have a chance to chat with our 3rd place finisher Eddie Thornton, 2nd place Frank Conrad, and tonight's feature winner Dan Hammerbeck.
It was a pretty good race. We started out with a pretty good car tonight. As the night went on through the heat race, we started pushing. We had to go in and do some adjusting. We did some adjusting on it, and it really paid off for the feature.
Had a lot of fun. I don't race for points that much. I race for fun because I own my own business, and sometimes I have to work on weekends or things, and my family comes first, you know. But whenever I get a chance, I love to go racing, and I really love the guys in this series here.
It was a fun night. The heat race, I I had a little bit of a push in the car. It didn't handle too well. I didn't feel real comfortable, so we came back in the pits and made a few adjustments and got back out there in the feature, and it was hooked up real nice, and everything worked out good. I mean, it just clicked for me, and it was a fun race.
Promotional consideration provided by Karnak.com. For all the news and views of stock car racing in the state of Florida, click on to www.karnak.com. Thanks for watching the South 40 Motorsports Classic Auto Racing Series. Tune in next week for more great Classic Auto Racing Series action.